Rules of the Game by Amy Tam. In the story Rules of the Game, a game of chess becomes both a bridge of people and their cultures on an emotional tug-of-war between a family. About the author. Amy Tam began writing fiction in her mid-30s. She tried to downplay her Chinese heritage. She found herself exploring the experiences of Chinese American women. The Rules of the Game by Amy Tam.
I was 6 when my mother taught me the art of invisible strength. It was a strategy for winning arguments and gaining respect from others. Bite back your tongue. Wise guy, he not go against wind. In Chinese we say, come from south. Blow with poom, north will follow. Strongest wind cannot be seen. The next week, I bit back my tongue as we entered the store. My mother imparted her daily truths as she could help my older brothers and me rise above our circumstances. We lived in San Francisco's Chinatown. Like most other Chinese children who played in the back alleys of restaurants and curio shops, I didn't think we were poor. My bowl was always full, beginning with a soup full of mysterious things I did not want to know the names of. We lived on Waverly Place, in a 2-bedroom flat that sat above a Chinese bakery. At the end of our 2-block alley, there was a small sandlot playground. My mother named me after the street we lived on, Waverly Place Dong. But my family called me May May, little sister. Every morning before school, my mother would twist and yank on my thick black hair into 2 tightly wound pigtails. One day, I had a sly thought. Ma, what is Chinese torture? Who said this word? Some boy in my class said that Chinese people do Chinese torture. Chinese people do many things. Chinese people do business, do medicine, do painting. Not like American people. Like lazy American people. We do torture. Mass torture. We had to go to the annual Christmas party we held at the First Chinese Baptist Church. They had put together a bag of gifts. When my term came up to see the man asked me if I had been a very good girl this year, and did I believe in Jesus? And did I obey my parents? I know the only answer to that. I nodded back with a smile and nodded solemnly. As I peered into the sack, I quickly figured the remaining presents. I chose a heavy, compact one that was wrapped in shiny silver foil and a red satin ribbon. It was a pack of Lifesavers, and I'd spent the rest of the party arranging the candy tubes, and according to my favorites. Vincent got the chess set. It would have been a very nice present, except it was obviously used. And as we discovered later, it was missing a black pawn and a white knight. My mother graciously thanked the unknown benefactor. Too good. Cost too much. I watched my brothers play chess. The chessmen were porcelain and these old little magic heels. They told stories. Let me play. The first said no, but when I offered my Lifesavers as replacements, he relented. I learned about opening moves and when it's time to control the center early and loud the secrets I found within the 64 black and white squares. Soon I no longer lost any games on cold spring days. I staggered through the playground at the end of our alley, and I saw a group of old men, 2 seated across a folding table playing a game of chess, others smoking pipes, eating peanuts, and watching. I ran home and grabbed Vincent's chess set. I also carefully selected 2 rolls of Lifesavers. I came back to the park and approached a man who was observing the game. Want to play? His face widened with surprise, and he grinned as he looked at the box under my arm.
Little sister, it's been a long time since I've played with dolls.
I quickly put the box down next to him on the bench and displayed my retort. Law Pole, as he allowed me to call him, turned out to be a much better player than my brothers. I lost many games and many Lifesavers, but over the weeks, with each diminishing roll of candies, I added new secrets. Low Pole gave me the names, the double attack from the east and west shores, throwing stones on the Browning man, the surprise from the sleeping guard, sand in the eyes of advancing forces, a double killing without blood. By the end of the summer, Lyle Pole had taught me all he knew, and I had become a better chess player. A man who watched me play in the park suggested that my mother allow me to play in local chess tournaments. I desperately wanted to go, but I bit back my tongue. I knew she wouldn't let me play among strangers. So as we walked home, I said with a small voice that I didn't want to play in the local tournament. It's a shame you fall down and nobody push you. As I began to play, disappeared. The chess set disappeared. The color ran out of the room, and I only saw my white pieces and his black ones. A light wind began blowing past my ears as it whispered the secrets that only I could hear.
Blow from the south, the wind leaves no trail. Blow, 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 he cannot see, he is blind now. Make him lean away from the wind, so he is easier to knock down.
My parents made many sacrifices to allow me to practice. One time I complained that the bedroom I shared was too noisy. I couldn't think. Thereafter, my brother slept in a bed in the tiny living room. I said I couldn't finish my rice. My head didn't work right when my stomach was too full. So I left the table with half-finished bowls and nobody complained. Well, there was one duty I couldn't avoid. I had to accompany my mother on Saturday market days. My mother would proudly walk with me, visiting the shops, many shops, and buying very little. My daughter, this is my daughter, ready to be wrong, she said to whoever looked her way. One day after we left the shop, I said under my breath, I wish you wouldn't do that, telling everybody I'm your daughter. Hey, ya! So ashamed to be with mother. She grasped my head even tight. She grasped my hand even tighter as we walked. It's not that it's just so obvious. It's just so embarrassing. Embarrassed you be my daughter? That's not what I mean. That's not what I said. What do you say? Why do you have to use me to show off? If you want to show off, then why don't you learn to play chess? She had no words. She just had sharp silence. I felt the wind rushing around my hot ears. It jerked my head out of my mother's grasp and spun around. I raced around the street, darting between people, not looking back at my mother scream, May May! May May! I ran until it hurt, and then I realized I had nowhere to go. After 2 hours, I stood up on creaking legs as we slowly walked home. The alley was quiet, and I could see yellow light shining as I climbed the 16 steps to our flat.
About time you got here.
Standing there, waiting for my punishment, I hear my mother speak in a dry voice. We not concerning this girl. She not have concerning for us. Nobody looked at me as I walked into my room and closed the door and lay silent on my bed. In my bed, I saw a chessboard with 64 black and white squares, and opposite me was my opponent, 2 prying black slits. She wore a triumphant smile. The strongest one could not be seen. I closed my eyes and pondered my next move.
That was Amy Tan's story of the rules of the game.